So another example of a habitat is a desert. But the question is, what makes a desert a desert? Have a little think about what you think the answer to that is. So very often when we ask this question, some people say that what makes a desert is the fact it's really hot. And do you know what? An awful lot of deserts are very hot, but that's not the answer that we're looking for. Some people also suggest that the thing that makes a desert is that they're really sandy. And again, many deserts are, but that's not the answer we were looking for. If you said a desert is a desert because it has cactus, it's a good answer, but it's not quite right. If you said, however, a desert is a desert because it is dry and it has no water, you are absolutely right, so give yourself a pat on the back. Meerkats are an example of an animal who live in the desert, and this little guy here is going to help me to show you some of the ways that they are suited to live there. First of all, check out his eyes here. You'll notice they have got dark circles around them. Can you think why this would be an important feature for a meerkat living in the desert? If you said that meerkats have dark circles around their eyes to help protect them from the glare of the sunshine, you would be absolutely right. Meerkats do spend a lot of time looking up and around on the lookout for predators, and so those dark circles just help protect their eyes and give them that better vision when they're on the lookout for any danger. Meerkats are opportunistic carnivores, which means they prefer to eat meat, and their preferred items are insects, bugs, and they're also partial to scorpions. But if there is plant material there and there's nothing else to eat, then they will give that a go. They are well suited for eating insects and scorpions. They have very sharp claws and very sharp teeth, and these are perfect for being able to grab hold of those insects, and then those teeth also help them to crack through the exoskeleton, or the outside layer which is on the insect. They're also really good at eating scorpions, and they break off the poisonous tail before being able to eat it. And this is something that they teach their young quite early on. Meerkats have a number of predators out in the desert, and so they always have to be on the lookout, and they do this via sentry duty. If you've ever seen a meerkat standing on its tippy toes and looking around, chances are it is checking to make sure the area is safe. Now, danger can come from a number of different directions, and if it comes from the sky, what the meerkat will do is it will give a call, and this will tell all the other meerkats in the group to run and to take cover, and they will go down into their burrows and hide away until that predator is gone. An example of an air predator could be something like an eagle or a bird of prey, which would love to eat a meerkat. They also have enemies down on the ground as well, for example a snake. If the meerkat who is on duty looks and sees a snake, it will give a different kind of an alarm call. This time, it's not a good idea to run underground and into the burrows because the snake could follow them. So what they do is they come together as one big group and they move towards the snake in an attempt to scare it off and to scare it away.
Another animal that lives in the desert are the camels. So here at Knowsley Safari, we've got Bactrian camels, and they've got 2 humps, but you do also get dromedary camels, and they've just got the 1 hump. Now, I've got here some fur that fell off one of our camels. Don't worry, I didn't go and give him a haircut. So what happens is the fur gets really thick over winter, and then it falls off them during the summer to keep them nice and cool. Now, like we were saying earlier, we often think of deserts as being really hot places, but actually a desert just has to be dry. So deserts can be really cold as well. So the camels do live in areas where it can get really cold, so they need this really thick fur to keep them nice and warm. Now, they have also got some other amazing adaptations for living in the desert. They have really long eyelashes, and this helps to keep the sand out of their eye. And they've also got a 3rd eyelid, which works a little bit like a windscreen wiper to keep their eye nice and clean. And also, to make sure that they don't get sand up their nose, they can close their noses. I think that might be useful. If we're going swimming and things like that, you don't want to get water up your nose, so it might be quite useful to be able to close your nose like a camel. They've also got really big, wide feet, so when they're walking on the sand, they don't sink in the sand. So it's a little bit like if we were going to go to the beach, we would wear our flip-flops, which have got a big surface area. You wouldn't wear heels because you could sink in the sand. They've also got nice long legs to keep their body away from the hot sand. And then they've got leathery bits of skin on their knees and their bellies. So when they do sit down on the sand, they don't get burnt from how hot the sand is. So this here is a bearded dragon, and they would live out in the deserts as well. So again, just like some of the other animals that we've spoken about, they've got some amazing adaptations that make them really good at living in the desert. So if we have a little look on the sides of his head here, he's not got really big ears like other animals. He's just got little holes in the side of his head. So if there was a sandstorm, he's not going to get sand stuck in his ears. And just like lots of other animals, our bearded dragon here doesn't want to get eaten by any predators. So if you look at him, he might look a little bit scary. He's got lots of spikes all over him. But actually, if I touch him here, and I can touch these spikes, they're not hurting me, they're not sharp, they're just there to scare other animals away. So a predator might look at him and think, oh, he looks a bit prickly, I don't really fancy eating him today. Another really cool thing are their claws. So they've got really long claws, so they can use those to dig through the sand to find all of their food. Now they like to eat bugs, lots of different insects, locusts, so that's what they would like to eat. Now another cool thing about bearded dragons is their tails. So if a bearded dragon was running along and a bird of prey swooped down and picked it up by the tail to go and eat it, what they can do is they can actually drop their tail off. So they would be able to drop their tail off, and then they would get to run away and live to see another day. They might not have a tail, but at least they'd still be alive. So a bearded dragon is a reptile, and that means that they're cold-blooded, so they can't keep themselves warm like we can. So humans, we're mammals, so we can sweat to cool ourselves down and shiver to warm ourselves up. Whereas bearded dragons, reptiles, they can't do that. So if our bearded dragon here was cold, he would have to move somewhere that was warmer. And if he got too hot, he'd have to move somewhere that was cooler. So you can often find them sat on a rock, just basking in the sun, and that's how they warm themselves up. So bearded dragons, they get the name because of the skin underneath their chin here. They can actually turn that black so it looks like a beard. And when they open their mouths wide, it can look quite scary, the contrast of colours. So this is another way that they can scare other animals off.